Have you ever had a realization that changed the way you see yourself and the world in an instant? Hopefully you have. It's one of the best moments in life. And this video is about the one that made me who I am today and transformed the terrible trajectory my life had at that time. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. We're a high-performance training company that helps entrepreneurs scale their businesses by solving their silent bottleneck, their own performance. We transform the unproductive, overwhelming, and focused entrepreneurs into laser-focused business athletes that can achieve in one day what they previously achieved in 1 week. So the story begins like a decade ago when I finished my architectural studies. I studied in the best architectural school in Spain. Who really cares? But that's what they say. And it was a prototypical place where everybody in the outside wants to get in, but everybody that's in wants to get out. It was a terrible place to be that forced us to pull a lot of all-nighters per month and work more than 90 hours a week in order to finish all the coursework. I graduated after 7 years at school. The average back then was 9 years and a half. So I was one of the fastest people to graduate. And when I finished, I was totally destroyed. I had developed many physical problems, I had back pain, I had developed narcolepsy, which is a sleep disorder that essentially doesn't allow you to sleep for 8 hours in a row, so you sleep anywhere. And you're not allowed to drive in the most extreme cases, and you just fall asleep in whatever place you find yourself, and it's very dangerous when you're driving. So I was essentially destroyed. I was jaded and I was frustrated because I had finally had an architectural title. I graduated with a master's in architecture, but that was worthless at that time. There was no job available and everybody needed to emigrate to find a job. So I didn't like really my career. I didn't like the results. I didn't really care about being an architect and I was physically destroyed. So at that time, I started looking for answers. And one of the things that I kept asking myself was, how is that I couldn't focus for more than 10 minutes because I was so exhausted and I was falling asleep every hour and a half, whatever I found myself. But all the people that were much older than me were able to be crazy effective for 100 hours a week. Let's say Elon Musk or whoever is building big things these days. And if they were older, how could they do that and I could not? And that's when I started looking for answers and eventually came to this realization, which is that everything that happens in life is really the effect of causes that have been put out in the universe. And this cause and effect relationship are related through systems. So if you understand what systems lie behind the effects in your life, you can tweak those systems to perfection. You can, in other words, get the outcomes you want if you fit into the system the right causes. So if I found myself jaded, frustrated, destroyed from a health perspective, visiting the hospital 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times every year because of my back pains, it was because I hadn't done the right things to cure my back. I hadn't done the right things to understand what was going on with my sleep disorder, and I hadn't studied something that motivated me, and I hadn't had a pleasant educational experience. So all of those things were in the past. I couldn't change them, but I most definitely could change the inputs of the future effects. I could, in other words, change my life by understanding and fixing the causes of all of those things. And that's when my life changed. That's when I finally understood that I was in control, because I was willing to analyze my life from that perspective. I was devoted to creating a life, to designing a life that I could be proud of. And I will never be at the mercy of those terrible teachers in my architectural school or the ignorance that I had shown in the past of not taking care of myself. And that's how everything started, by understanding the systematic universe, that everything happens for a reason, and not in some sort of magical bullshit law of attraction type of way, but in a very clear, distinctive cause and effect relationship type of way. If I want this effect, what is the cause and what is the system, the process in between that I need to understand and optimize to get that effect? It's all about inputs and outputs. If I feed the right inputs, I get the right outputs. And that's when things started changing. I realized that I wanted a career in business or in finance, because I understood that if I really wanted to have some sort of personal liberty, I needed money. And it was interesting to see that most people don't get rich, oftentimes because they do not chase it. They're not working on the things that can make them rich. So I said like, well, just gonna do in finance and business. I didn't know anything about business and finance. So the first thing I do is to take a loan and go to business school. I went to IE Business School and I trained myself in business and finance. I love the experience. This is a degree that I actually have at my home because I decided to never step back in my old architecture school ever. And I never come back. I don't even have a title that says that I'm an architect, even though I grueled for 7 years. So I love the IE experience. It's a fantastic place to be. And I learned the extent of my ignorance. How much did I lack if I wanted to be in business? But that allowed me to get a job in real estate consulting. So I went into Deloitte, which is a big 4 consulting firm. I fitted the right input into the system, like knowing business and finance through a master's, so that I could get the effect I wanted, a job that I could like. And when I entered Deloitte, I find myself at 27. That's when I started my career. Let that sink in, folks. I started at 27 because of how fucked up is the Spanish graduate system. And I find myself competing against people who were 23, 24, maybe 25, and they had studied business and finance. So I was in a disadvantage. I didn't know as much as they knew about business and finance and real estate, and they were younger than I was. So I had to do something about it. And that's when I doubled down on the same principle, the same systematic understanding that had led me to Deloitte, which is, okay, what are the inputs of the equation? I need to be the guy that works the hardest, that in order to work as hard as I can, I need to be able to sustain my energy. I also need to be able to learn faster than anyone else. I need to segment my day and structure my day to have those learning sessions. I also need to find clubs and membership of people that know what I want to know in order to become better fast. And I started applying this idea of cause and effect, of inputs, process, and outputs to everything that I did. And that's how over time I became very good, very fast. In fact, only 20 months after becoming an analyst, I was hired by a private equity fund as a manager. And then 10 months later, I was promoted to director. So it took me 30 months from zero, from being a real estate analyst to being a private equity real estate director. How did that happen? Well, I took a lot of risks. I was, let's say, lucky that there was a fund who was hiring at that time, but I was also very conscientious about all the changes that I needed to implement in my life in order to have a shot at that. Seneca said that luck is preparation meets opportunity, and I truly believe this is the case. And that's when things accelerated. At that time, I got involved in venture capital. I was invited to become part of a seed capital fund that was active those days. So we started investing in startups. That's when I started working on entrepreneurs. I understood that my idea of business and finance in the beginning could be like the vehicle that could probably give more meaning to my life was entrepreneurship. And that's how over time, I decided to end my private equity career and become an entrepreneur. But everything started by internalizing this core idea that it's all about putting the right causes in the universe to get the desired effects. And if you see your life as input, process, and output, it is very easy to get the outcomes you deserve. And that's essentially what we teach now in Selfmastered. We transform people's performance and therefore their businesses by understanding what are the inputs that are put in the equation, what's the process, and what are the outputs that they are willing to get. And it's just as simple as it sounds. If you master your inputs, your outputs will take care of themselves. And this is a huge realization that changed my life, because I am where I am right now because I fully understood the implications of this idea. And I truly believe that this is one of the most powerful things that you can implement in your life, because it goes beyond the prototypical things happen for a reason. If you work on the right things, you're gonna get it. Hard work is what you need to be doing. That's just only one side of the equation. What you need to understand is what is the actual outcome that I want? What is the process that should lead me to that outcome? And let's try to understand what are the inputs of the equation. Of course, you can never have a full picture of all the inputs. I'm not saying it's easy. Oftentimes you lack information, you have a bad model of reality, or you just are oblivious at how much work it entails. But if you make the effort of charting and mapping out everything that you feel you need, you will have a better chance of getting what you want. So this is my 10-minute life story. I hope it was useful. It's definitely one of the best things that I've ever learned, really. And I highly encourage you to apply this idea. And let me know in the comments if this was useful. If there's some sort of further clarification that you may need, happy to provide it. And if you're not subscribed, remember to subscribe so you never miss out on anything. And also remember that other people need this content, so share it, make it known so that we can help more people. See you in the next video.